Well, first of all, thank you so much for this honor. And I'm among so many wonderful peers. I can't even believe that I'm with you wonderful folks here. This is just such an honor, and I can't thank you enough. I really mean that from my heart.
You're very welcome, Freddie. So, Freddie, I got some questions for you, honey. The first one being is, when did you know that you wanted to become a motion picture makeup artist?
Well, I'm going to try to make this short. However, in high school, I was in the Notre Dame High School band, and they called our band to come and work on an Elvis Presley movie.
Nice.
And because I was in the band and I'm under 18, my mother had to go with me because you had to have parental supervision and all that good stuff. And so as it turned out, she had the smarts enough to go and get me into the extras guild. And so I started out as an extra, and then I went into stunts, and then I went into acting and all that. And for some reason, I don't know what it was, I just kept hanging around the makeup people. And I got to know George Blau, who was my father in the industry, my main mentor. And it came to a point where I took a theater arts course, and I brought Jack Petty, who was the apprentice at Warner Brothers, over because they wanted us to demonstrate a makeup, in which Jack and we did a Cyrano de Bergerac halfway through the semester. And my teacher told me, as far as I'm concerned, you've passed your final. And I said, oh, wow. He says, so when we do the finals, just help everybody out. And I said, gosh, what an honor, you know. And then my dad, because he worked directly with Jack Warner, and yeah, it is nepotism, and I love it. I don't care. I told him
I never knew that.
Oh yeah. I said, I want to get into makeup. And so I had to wait for Jack Petty and Gary Lydiard to pass their apprenticeship before I could get in. And then I got in under the, Gordon Bow didn't really want me there. All right. So I had to do the old kiss stuff and everything worked out fine. And then all of a sudden, as an apprentice in my first year, they assigned me to a movie called Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Wow.
In which I did Sandy Dennis and George Segal, which was quite an honor at the time.
Wow, dude, your first movie. Amazing.
Unbelievable. And then I passed my apprenticeship, and then George Bow comes to me and he says, okay, you're fired. Just like that. And I just passed my apprenticeship. So he called me about a week later and he says, go pack your bags. You're going up to Stockton. And I said, I am? And he says, yeah. And that turned out to be Cool Hand Luke.
Holy smoke, dude.
My first two pictures are just giant. And I didn't even, I was stunned, but it was amazing. But that's cool. Basically how it all happened.
So do you have any really cool stories that you could tell us about when you were in your heyday and, having so much fun doing all these fabulous movies that you got to work on?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things that happened. And during my apprenticeship, my dear friend, Mike Hancock, we were called to work on a picture called Illustrated Man with Robert Steiger. And in that process, Michael, who happened to be a graphic artist at the time, he came up with the silkscreen process where we could put huge tattoos on, like full body suits on people, which we did on Bob Steiger. And it went on, and then as time went on, I was called. They called me up to go to the Philippines and do Apocalypse Now. And during that time, I mean, my career is just, wow. I mean, I've just been all over the world with it, you know.
That's amazing.
And when I came back, my dear friend Mel Burns called me. He says, "Hey, Fred, I got a TV show I want you to do." And I said, "Mel, I need about a month's rest because I just spent over a year in the Philippines." He says, "You got to do this. You got to do this." Next thing I know, I'm doing Kate Jackson on Charlie's Angels. And
you go from the Philippines to Charlie's Angels. That's
to
amazing.
Charlie's Angels, literally. And
from a war film to Three Babes.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And then during that time, they called me up from New York to do a movie called Tattoo. So I got back to them, and I sent Mike out as a spearhead, Mike Hancock, who is my dear friend, and he started getting all the inks ready and everything that we needed to do to make this movie work. And in the process of doing that, we came up with the company now that I just sold called Real Creations. And
cool.
we came up with the first alcohol-based body makeup inks that is usually used in the industry today.
Do you have like three movies that you really loved that you worked on?
The Apocalypse Now was that was it. And then I really enjoyed working with Waterworld. And I saw Dennis Hopper. I worked with him on both movies, and I saw him at his lowest level in life to his highest level. The 180 that he made on Waterworld was just amazing. And he got so mad at me because I kept getting his hands all dirty and he couldn't get my ink off his fingers. and then of course I have to credit Rick Baker, who brought me on The Grinch, and where I got to do the close-up double of Jim Carrey, and on the last one was where I turned my my retirement in to do Planet of the Apes, which was full round for me because I had done Roddy on the TV series.
Right.
And I've had a wonderful and amazing journey.
You only did a couple of cool things. Not much. Right. So tell us something about yourself that we might not know, Fred.
Well, I'm into outdoor sports. I was in the Navy for 2 years active, and I did 6 years active standby, and then I did 2 years of standby. So I've got about 10 years in the Naval Reserve, and I'm very proud of being a vet.
Well, thank you for your service, Freddie. Were you ever offered a movie that you were kind of bummed out that you didn't do?
Oh, yeah. Actually, it was Point Break.
Wow.
And the unfortunate thing about that was the fact that I had already committed to something else. And then Point Break came up. So Mike Hancock and our late Wes Don, they did the movie, and unfortunately Wes passed on that show.
Oh.
And as it ended up, the movie that I had already promised to do, I didn't end up doing anyhow.
Bummer.
Done Point Break. But yeah, I wish I had done that movie because I love those adventure, these active movies. They're wonderful. I love Westerns. I like to get out and get dirty.
Nice. Did you ever do a Western?
Oh yeah.
All you guys got to do them.
The one that stands out the most is Bite the Bullet. Richard Brooks was the producer director, and that was quite a nice thing. We went to Moab and all the
Utah's beautiful.
Wonderful Western states.
Well, thank you, Freddie. Thank you so much for talking with us today, and I hope everybody gets to know you a little bit better. I certainly did, and I thought I knew everything.
You're sweet, B. Thank you.